Okay, about 1 more minute and then we'll get started. All right. Sarah, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So welcome everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us for the next half hour. I said this before, but we are going to open up the floor for questions at the end of this presentation. However, if you have a question during the presentation, please type it in the chat box. Finway will be answering and monitoring those questions throughout the presentation. But today we are here to talk about our hospitality training programs that we offer at Erskine Green Training Institute. But before we do that, we're going to take a second to introduce ourselves. So I am Zach Runyon. I am one of the instructors at Erskine Green, and I teach the Heart of the House program as one of the hospitality programs.
And I'm Sarah Lambert, and I am the other instructor at Erskine Green. So I teach the front desk program, and then I also teach the jobs at the hospital.
All right. So we are going to be looking at 2 different programs today. We have the front desk agent program, which is a 13-week training program. As Sarah said, she is the instructor for that program. And then the Heart of the House program, which is also a 13-week training program. And we offer these programs our first and third session of each year. So when our students come and train as a front desk agent or a Heart of the House student, they will be receiving certifications through the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute. So if you are coming in to train as a front desk agent, you have the opportunity to become a certified front desk representative through the American Hotel and Lodging. And then if you are training as a Heart of the House student, you can become a certified guest room attendant through the American Hotel and Lodging Association as well. So both of these programs actually have the opportunity to learn our guest service gold together. So Sarah and I spent some time actually co-teaching this part of the training. And the guest service gold really deals with just like interacting with guests, what to do during certain situations when interacting with guests, what to do if you can't figure out what to do. So go find your manager and things like that. So that's something we spend a lot of time covering the first weeks during training so that our students are ready to go out into the hotel and interact with other people.
So can I add to that, Zach?
Absolutely.
So each of those 3, there's a curriculum that we go through. So the students get a workbook. There's some videos that go along with it. Zach and I have created different Nearpod and PowerPoint lessons. So we go through that material, and then there's a test that comes with it that the students do, and then we send that off to the American Hotel and Lodging Institute. And then if the student passes the test, then the certification and pin is mailed to us.
Thanks for covering all that for me. I knew I was forgetting something. Okay, so we're going to look at the Heart of the House program first, and then I'm going to let Sarah kind of dive into the front desk agent part after I'm done. So the Heart of the House, like I said, it's a 13-week training program, and it really covers 4 different jobs throughout the hotel. So a lot of our students, after they've gone through this program, have started off in a different role and then moved their way up to a higher role inside the hotel that they are working on, or that they're working in, excuse me. So the 4 jobs that the Heart of the House covers are laundry attendant, linen runner, guest room attendant or housekeeping, and houseman. So we'll take a look at laundry attendant first. So laundry attendant skills that our students learn are being able to identify all linens and towels inside the hotel, understanding how to fold all linens and towels inside the hotel. We practice this a lot, as you can see from the pictures below, in the lab and also in the laundry room as well. Students will learn how to operate both the washers and dryers in the laundry room, and they'll be able to sort dirty towels and linens. The linen runner job is really taking linen from the laundry room up to each floor throughout the hotel so that housekeepers don't have to come all the way down to the first floor to get fresh linen and terries. So linen runners learn how to identify where linen is and terry is stored throughout the hotel. You can see in both of these pictures that there's shelves where the linen and terries are stored. Some of them have labels on them that show exactly where everything needs to go. Students will transport linen and terry to each floor of the hotel for housekeeping, and then they'll store the linen and terry in their designated location on each floor of the hotel. The third job is the guest room attendant job or housekeeping job. So during this time, students learn how to identify different room types. There are king, queen, and suites inside the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel in which our students train. They learn how to make beds. They clean the guest bathrooms, and they clean the rest of the guest rooms. They clean both checkout and stayover rooms. So a checkout room would be when a guest has permanently left, and then a stayover room would be when the guests are still staying at the hotel but want those cleaning services inside their room. And then the last thing they'll learn is loading and stocking a housekeeping cart. It's important to have all your supplies before you head all the way up to the 6th floor so that you don't have to come back down to the 1st floor to get more supplies. And then the last job we look at is the houseman job. So the skills that our students training in the Heart of the House program doing the houseman learn are cleaning all areas of the hotel besides the guest rooms. They identify and use all cleaning chemicals and equipment throughout the hotel. They mop and sweep a lot of areas of the hotel. They clean the fitness room, the swimming pool, the hotel lobby, and the stairwells and the windows inside the stairwells. So you can see from these two pictures, we have a couple students working as housemen. It's their job to make sure that everything is clean throughout the hotel so that our guests are happy and stay healthy, especially during this time as well.
Okay, so the front desk agent program is the one that I teach. So 13 weeks, like Zach said, we teach this at the same time as kitchen cooks. So I think one of the biggest things that we've been able to add in the past year is where the students get to work over at the Y. And that's really opened up where, yeah, the students mostly training at a front desk at the hotel, but the skills that they learn while they're here can relate and open up the doors to work at so many different settings. So any sort of place that has a secretary type position or just a front desk where you're greeting people coming and going. We also worked over at the convention center that we're connected to about a year ago. So the front desk program, we start off teaching the guest service gold. We go through the front desk material that Zach talked about a few minutes ago, and then we get into communicating with guests. So we start out each week, you're just building on the skills from the week before. So at first, we're focusing just on how to greet people when they come up to the desk. And there's something called a 15-5 rule. So learning to look up, smile at the person when they see someone coming, and then how to greet them and ask how they can help them as they come up to the desk. So we practice that a lot in our lab. So we have a lab back in the Erskine Green space, and we have an actual front desk set up back there with computers. And then we also have the computer system that the hotel uses back in our lab. So we have a training mode that we can use to practice back there. So sometimes we'll pull in the kitchen cook students and they'll be our mock guests, and the front desk student will practice greeting them as they come up, asking how they can help them, and then we just role play through some different mock scenarios in there. From there, we learn how to use the phone, so how to answer the phone, how to answer different questions. We learn a lot of information about just the hotel and then the downtown area, because as a front desk agent, you're like the center contact person for all the different questions that might come up in the hotel. So we learn about local restaurants, places that people might want to visit. A lot of people that come are there on business, so that's different than, like, you would give different recommendations than you would to a family. So learning those different things. Let's see. We also do cash handling. So at the front desk, you don't handle a lot of cash because most people are paying with credit card. Like if someone buys something at the market or occasionally for their room, they'll pay cash. So we do practice that in our lab. We have a cash drawer, and we'll practice counting back change, counting the cash drawer. At the end of a shift as a front desk agent, you would fill out a cash drop envelope. So they learn how to do all of those things back in our lab first and then transfer out to the front desk where they get to practice that in the actual setting. And then you see the bottom picture there is the market at our hotel. So part of the front desk role is restocking the market. So the students learn how to do that. So we really focus at the hotel at first, but then as we get closer to the internship time, the last 4 weeks, then we start learning a little bit about working at the Y. So the students were partnered over at the YMCA just across the road from us, and the students then get to practice working at the front desk there. So we don't do everything at the Y there, but the students learn to greet the guests as they come in, watch as the guest scans their card. They learn a little bit about the computer program there. And like you can see in the picture, we also learn and practice putting together these packets that they hand out. So new members, it goes in a certain order. So they're just learning how to put those folders together. But that setting is more relaxed than the hotel. People are coming in to work out, usually a little more talkative, friendly. So the students, we get to see a little bit different side there, and some really like that setting and others like more of the hotel setting. So that's been good, just so the students get more experience and can see more what they're interested in when they graduate and leave. Okay, Zach, did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't think
so let's move on to the next slide.
Can I stop you for a moment?
Yeah.
Because you were just talking about the test that you guys have, that the students take, you're teaching it. And so I want to go back to that because we do have a question on that. And so before we get too much farther, what accommodations would somebody have on one of those tests? So an individual that can't read very well, can you talk about what does that look like for an individual taking one of these certifications?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I have had a lot of students in the past who I have read the test for orally. Obviously, you can't give them any hints on any of the questions or anything, but I've had to read the test orally. Yeah, that's really the only accommodation I've had to use.
So along with reading out loud, there's been a few that so it's a Scantron. So the students will circle the answer just on the test on the paper, and then I'll take that and fill in the bubbles. So we've had a few that weren't able to do that. Another thing, I guess, for reviewing, this isn't exactly accommodations, but to review before the test, we have, what's that called, Zach? Not Nearpod.
Kahoot.
Kahoot, yeah. We've got a couple of different Kahoots set up to review. So it's just different scenarios that would be similar to the test to help them start thinking through and reviewing before we take the test.
Oops, there we go.
Okay, so if you guys are interested or you want to know more about the hospitality programs, feel free to visit our website, so EGTI.org, and then under programs and training programs. So there's some videos on there that go more into the front desk program, the kitchen cook program, and then also information about applications, and all of that will be on our website.
Okay, so I think, Fenway, we can open up the floor for any questions.
Okay, I had already responded to this, but maybe you guys want to talk into it a little bit more. So the question was, what are your, as instructors, your backgrounds, and kind of what do you need to be in your position? And then maybe what background-wise has prepared you to teach these positions, or what did you have to do before maybe EGTI opened up to learn these if you weren't quite sure about these positions?
Right, so I graduated from Ball State University 2 years ago with a degree in special education. I'm licensed kindergarten through 12th grade in the state of Indiana to teach special education. And I actually was a part-time staff member and employee while I was in college. And prior to that, I was a volunteer at Erskine Green. So I've been technically with Erskine Green since 2016, since the second session they ever had. I volunteered with 3 students then. And then right after that, I got hired as a part-time staff member. So I feel like having that experience, being a volunteer, being a part-time staff member, and being an instructor all together has been really beneficial for me. When I first came in to be an instructor, it was probably like 3 weeks to a month before the actual session was going to take place. So that gave me a lot of time to get prepared and kind of go over some of the stuff that I need to do to get ready for the session, because I was kind of just thrown into it and had to figure it out. But a lot of things that I don't know or that I didn't know, I was able to look up on YouTube, especially for cooking techniques and things like that. So that was a lot of fun for me. And then I also took the Serve Safe certification course as well, so that I was prepared to understand that a little bit better and to be able to help our students out the best I could. I think that's it. There's probably a million other things I could say, but.
Okay, so I graduated from Purdue in special ed, so I'm licensed elementary through high school, and then I taught at a junior high and high school in Southern Indiana for 4 years. So I had that education background before coming here. I actually ended up with a job in Wyoming at a campground for the summer in between my teaching job at the school and then getting this job. So the campground there gave me a lot of good experience for then teaching the front desk here at Erskine Green. They used a similar program there, and then just learning that customer service and the things that we're now teaching the students to do there. The hospital jobs, I had never worked in a hospital setting, but we were hired on before I'm losing track of time now. I think it was about 6 months before our first session started. And so we spent a lot of time going over and learning the curriculum. And then actually in the hospital, we did a lot of shadowing and working with the staff that we now work with at the hospital and doing parts of the job. So we learned a lot of it there in the beginning. And then as we've gone, I just continually, each session, I'm always learning more, spending time with the staff and adding to what we're teaching and making it better each session.
Great. Thank you. What are some other questions that you as participants may have? You can either write them out or just unmute yourself on here and ask them, because we do have a little bit of time to allow that to talk about the hospitality programs, because then later at 3 o'clock we'll be talking about the restaurant programs that Zach teaches, and then at 4 o'clock Sarah will jump back on to talk about the hospital programs that she just briefly touched on. So what are some questions that you may be wondering? Let's see if anyone has any here. Let me see here.
I just saw Deanna's question about the SDS sheets. So Deanna, for when I teach it's SDS sheets now. I can't remember exactly how long ago it's been since they've changed it. But to teach that, I actually do a Nearpod, like interactive lesson where we run through an example together and try to figure out what information we're looking for. I believe it's like 15 questions of things that we're looking for. So we cover a lot of what's in the SDS book for each chemical. And then I actually have them go out and find a chemical on their own. There's 2 kitchens at the hotel that they work in, so they could choose which kitchen they wanted to go to and pick whatever chemical they wanted, and then they would have to complete a Nearpod on there, and then I was able to assess their answers from that Nearpod directly. So it is something that, yeah, it's very challenging, and it has been a struggle for some students in the past, but I feel like after we go through it together as a group and then let them work on their own, they usually do a fairly well job. And then if they need more like one-on-one support, that's something that we can provide for them too.
Another question on here is, what accommodations are available for individuals that may have height just height accommodations that may be a little bit shorter for like in the laundry room. So we know that in the laundry room, the washers and dryers, those drums are huge because those are industrial size machinery. So what are accommodations would maybe you provide for a student to be able to accomplish that job?
So yeah, we've had students in the past who have been kind of shorter also. And those machines actually sit fairly low to the ground. I want to say the door to open it is probably about 3 feet from the ground. So if somebody's standing there or, you know, even kneeling next to it, they can adequately reach up into those machines. However, if they were struggling with like taking things out of the machine, we would have to come up with something because I've never had that. But for other students in the past, we've had them use a step ladder if they were too short to reach something. Or we have like if a student was cleaning a room and couldn't reach all the way to the top of the glass, we have a squeegee that actually extends that they can reach out with and reach the top of the glass. So a lot of equipment we have at the hotel can be useful for somebody who's shorter or smaller.
Great question. Sarah, maybe talk about what are some accommodations that you might, a student might use at the front desk. So we've had some students, I know that we've made some, not modifications to the jobs, but have utilized other equipment to assist an individual to do the front desk job. What have some of those been?
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we use for a lot of our students is just a reference binder. So I've built on that and added to that each session with different scripts for like how to answer the phone, or there's a whole process of checking in a guest, and a lot of, if it's this, you do this, if it's this, you do this. So we have that all written out in the binder, and the students are using that as they're learning. We've also got like the restaurant recommendations, just common information that they would need to be giving out. So students use that to varying degrees. Some catch on really quickly and they don't need the binder for very long, but then others use that throughout the whole session. So we've got that. We've also added just like a label on the desk where they're able to quickly look at a script that maybe they're having trouble remembering. We've had one student that was deaf and had a cochlear implant, so we were able to use a headset instead of just the phone that they use at the front desk, and she was able to put that headset over her cochlear and be able to hear and use the phone. We've used coin counters, bill counters, whether it was for a student that just had trouble counting money or students with physical disabilities that just weren't physically able to count the entire drawer as quick as it needed to be done. So like in the morning when they count the drawer at the beginning of their shift, they're able to just put it through that coin counter and bill counter and get it done quickly. I think.
We did have a question from Deanna about if any of these trainings would be doable for somebody who uses a wheelchair or a chain, or not chain, a cane, sorry. I was mixing up chain and cane. We have had students in the front desk program who have used a wheelchair, and we have had students who worked just in the laundry program. So they signed up for Heart of House but just worked in laundry, who actually used a walker. So we have had students who have had those needs when they come to us and have done successfully.
And with our front desk program at our hotel, we have one desk that's taller, like you would normally see at hotels, and then we have a shorter desk. So some of the students have had wheelchairs that raise up and they're able to use either desk, but then others, if they're not able to reach the taller desk, then they can use the one that's shorter there. And we've had a student that needed a chair. They weren't able to stand for long periods of time, so we just had a chair that raised up and down, and they were able to sit in that at the taller desk too. I think there's another question we haven't gotten yet.
Yep.
What'd you say, Finway?
Yeah, Missy's got the question right there. So the question is, when students are assessed, what skills are you looking for to indicate whether the job is a good fit in that area. And I do want to let you know that we have met our 10-minute mark. So we are under 10 minutes, just so you have an idea of that as well.
Okay. So for our interviews, we have two parts. So we've got a job specific part where we are assessing certain skills. So Zach would assess for kitchen cook specifically. And then if they're with me, we'd be doing front desk related things. So like the main things during my interview is we're doing a little bit of counting cash, some basic customer service type questions. What would you do if a guest came to you and said their shower was broken? So we're just looking for, like, are they going to apologize? Are they going to say, I'll contact maintenance? We do talk through a practice phone script. I have them create a reservation using the computer system. So I'll go through one, show them how to do it, and then I'll be like the mock guest and have them go through the reservation system, and we'll make a couple reservations together. So some basic typing skills. They don't have to be super fast. Front desk, you're mainly typing in last name and searching for their folio, so there's not a whole lot of typing there. I think that's the main things.
Yeah, so when I assess a student for the Heart of the House program,
Yeah,
usually,
sorry, I said kitchen cooks a second ago.
yeah, I was gonna,
Gosh,
that's all right.
yeah, sorry.
So many programs, that's okay. So when I assess students for the Heart of the House program, I try to assess them in all 4 different jobs that they'll be doing. So the first thing I have them do is actually grab a fully stocked cart and tell them what floor we're going to see if they'll take that initiative to find the elevator and go to the right floor. And then when we step off the elevator, I'll tell them what room we're going to, and I'll see if they can use the signs on the walls to kind of figure out where the room is going to be. So then I'll assess them on like making a bed, looking at different cleaning chemicals, being able to read what those chemicals do, and then assess them on wiping down counters, see if they choose the right chemical for the job, see if they wipe down everything on the counter. I also set up a towel that is already folded and place it on the bed, and then have one next to it that is not folded and have them fold the other towel to look just like the one next to it, and they're allowed to use that model. So I'm kind of assessing a lot of things, seeing how they're thinking after I've given them instructions, and see like how they follow through with the steps I've given them. So a lot of like outside the box thinking stuff I kind of pay attention to, but also I just assess them on those skills that I talked about.
Great question. Kathy is asking a question. Do you use evaluations from school systems as a tool for your program?
Yeah, and then under that it says, what about IEPs? We do look over IEPs prior.
Yeah. Part of the application process is, and Megan talked about this in her morning thing. Sorry, Zach, to kind of
That's okay.
run with this. And so if you weren't in on the morning session, that's completely fine. So there is on our website, so Zach has the PowerPoint showed up. It would be under the admissions tab, and that would have the application. So under the application, there is a lot of documentation that is required when somebody is applying. And so that is, we want to see an IEP, we want to see a diagnosis report, things of that. So that helps us in the application process as well. Evaluations from the schools, I would consider that some of the IEP, but if somebody has done a pre-ETS program and has documentation from pre-ETS, like we'll take documentation from that as well. So if they've done pre-ETS and they've been working in a job marketplace and have evaluations on that's great to know, because we want to build on skills that students have already developed. So if they've done that in a pre-ETS program, that's outstanding. Did you guys have anything to add to that?
I think you covered it.
You got it.
Okay. And I'm going to answer this next one too.
Go ahead.
And so the question is, does EGTI have connections related to employers throughout the state? So Yes, we do. So part of my position has also been connecting to companies across the state of Indiana, because we are wanting to educate companies of the importance of hiring somebody with a disability, and that individuals have abilities to be in all of the job markets, not just the 9 that we are teaching, but in every job market that is out there, because you all have a different skill set than what I have. And so that is a huge, huge thing, is that everyone has abilities. Zach has a different skill set than I have. And so we are making connections, and we continue to make connections and educating companies about what we are doing at EGTI, because that's a huge impact as well. We don't have a career services department like EGTI or like a college or university would have. We are just a smaller staff, so we don't have a career services department. But part of our teaching that Zach and Sarah are doing are putting together work readiness. So what a career services department would do, they're doing that during those work readiness lessons as well. So to answer your question, we do have some connections around the state and are continuing to grow on those as well. Yeah. Any other questions? We've got like 2 minutes left on our time limit here. And if you think of any other questions, you can always email us at info@egti.org. And then the next session will start at 3 o'clock with a focus on the program of hospitality. Or not hospitality, restaurant. We're on the hospitality now.
All those words start to overlap. Hospital, hospitality.
And everything mixed up.
I guess to add on to that, Fenway, the management company of our hotel.
Yes.
White Lodging. Is that right?
GHC.
No, we have.
Yeah.
Ours is General Hotels.
General Hotels, right. So there's like connections through General Hotels where if a student applies to or a graduate applies to a hotel that's managed by General Hotels, then we can reach out to some of our contacts just to help, let them know that person went through Erskine Green.
Yeah.
And also it'll be on their resume too, because they'll work on building a resume while they're with us, and then their internship and their training at Erskine Green will be under work experience on their resume. So if they go apply somewhere that's ran by General Hotel Corporation, and they see that on their resume, they'll be like, oh, well, you already have experience working in our hotel. So that's going to kind of set them apart from anybody else that applies.
Yeah. I'm going to answer Missy's question because we're under a minute. And I'll be sending out a document that has all of the documents too. But Missy, our prerequisite is under the student life page and then the housing page, and the document is there that you can download at the moment. That would be the quickest way if you're wanting to look at it right now.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us today, everybody.
Thank you. We'll see you in a little bit if you're joining for the 3 o'clock.